As Americans begin their day, a conflict thousands of miles away is quietly reshaping global security, global markets, and the balance of power itself. For nearly 3 years, the war in Ukraine has been described as contained, regional, manageable. But new military partnerships, economic decisions, and diplomatic breakdowns are forcing a serious reassessment. This morning, we are not asking whether the Ukraine war is dangerous. We are asking how close the world may be to a broader confrontation, and what warning signs matter most right now. This is not speculation. This is a fact-based analysis of where the conflict stands and where it could be heading. Welcome to Brandon Hales Today. I'm Brandon Hales. In this report, we'll walk through 3 critical developments that security analysts are watching closely. First, how the battlefield itself is changing, not just in territory, but in who is now involved. Second, how NATO's role is evolving, and why diplomacy is becoming harder, not easier. And third, how economic warfare is creating long-term global consequences that extend far beyond Ukraine. Our goal this morning is clarity, not fear, not predictions, and not headlines without context. Let's begin with the situation on the ground. As of late 2025, the war remains intense across eastern and southern Ukraine. Neither side has achieved a decisive strategic breakthrough. Ukrainian forces continue to defend key areas while launching limited counteroffensives, including localized operations near Kupiansk. Russian forces, meanwhile, maintain pressure along multiple fronts. What stands out is not a dramatic shift in territory, but a shift in composition. Western intelligence assessments now confirm deeper military cooperation between Russia and several partner states. North Korea, in particular, has expanded its role through weapon supplies and personnel support in non-frontline capacities, such as logistics and engineering. While the exact scale remains debated, the significance is clear. This conflict is no longer shaped only by Moscow and Kyiv. Iran's continued provision of drones and missile technology, combined with North Korea's involvement, reflects a broader strategic alignment, one that challenges the Western-led security framework that has existed since the end of the Cold War. More actors mean more complexity and more opportunities for miscalculation. Beyond the land war, military analysts are paying close attention to the Black Sea. The region has become a critical zone of surveillance, naval patrols, and intelligence operations. NATO aircraft regularly monitor activity, while Russian naval forces remain active despite losses earlier in the conflict. The concern here is not a planned escalation, but an accident. History shows that major conflicts often begin not with intent, but with error, a misidentified aircraft, a misunderstood maneuver, or a miscalculated response. In such a crowded operational environment, the margin for error continues to shrink. Defense officials on all sides insist they are acting responsibly, but as military activity increases, so does the risk that a single incident could force political leaders into decisions they did not intend to make. NATO's position remains formally unchanged. The alliance maintains that it is not a direct participant in the war and has no plans to deploy combat forces into Ukraine. However, discussions within NATO capitals have intensified, particularly around expanded training, advisory roles, and long-term security commitments. Officials emphasize that these measures are defensive, but Russia has repeatedly warned that any foreign military presence inside Ukraine would be viewed as a direct threat. This creates a dangerous dynamic. Even limited missions, if misinterpreted or struck accidentally, could escalate rapidly, reducing diplomatic options and increasing pressure on alliance leaders. At the same time, diplomatic efforts continue. U.S.-backed proposals aimed at achieving a ceasefire while offering Ukraine long-term European integration remain under discussion. Moscow, however, rejects these frameworks, arguing they undermine Russian security interests. The result is a diplomatic stalemate, one where each side views compromise as strategic loss. Some of the most consequential developments are not happening on the battlefield, but in financial institutions. European governments have agreed to use profits generated from frozen Russian state assets to support Ukraine. While the principle remains untouched, the decision marks a significant shift in how economic pressure is applied during conflict. Russia has condemned the move, calling it unlawful, but the broader impact extends beyond Moscow. Major economies, including China, India, and Gulf states, are closely watching how sovereign assets are treated during geopolitical crises. The concern is whether long-standing assumptions about financial neutrality and asset protection still apply. Analysts warn this could accelerate a move toward alternative financial systems, contributing to a world divided into competing economic blocs, a trend historically associated with periods of prolonged global tension. So, what does all of this mean? By traditional definitions, this is not World War III. There's no global declaration, no unified battlefield, and no formal alliance-wide conflict. But it is something else. It is a prolonged, multi-domain confrontation involving most of the world's major powers through military support, economic pressure, diplomacy, and strategic alignment. The key risks ahead are specific and measurable: expanded use of long-range weapons, any deployment of foreign personnel, and continued erosion of global financial norms. History shows that major wars rarely begin with a single moment. They emerge through accumulated decisions, each one narrowing the path back to stability. Understanding those decisions matters. Thank you for starting your day with Brandon Hales today. We'll continue to monitor developments closely and bring you clear, fact-based analysis as events unfold.